Okay, so the librarians want us to understand that we are, each of us, so much more powerful than we think we are. That actuality, it only takes like one, two, or three people to tap into their full power of being to change all the stuff that's happening on our planet right now. If you look back on, like they were showing me Mother Teresa, who was, I mean, one person, and she did a lot of, she went up against a lot of corruption, a lot of misery, a lot of really dark stuff, and she did a lot of good because she always kept her vibration very high and her intention noble, but her actions supported what needed to be done. It's their concern that many of us let our brain be in conflict with our gut instinct, our sacral chakra, and our heart. So that's why they want us to understand, don't listen to your brain. Don't let your brain order your heart around. Let your heart order your brain around. Whenever your brain will tell you you can't do things, if you ask the brain why, this is how you use your ego to work with your being. Because your ego is really the element in your being that lets you know what's stopping you or what needs healing. So when your ego says to you, you are going to mess this up, that's not your ego telling you who you are. That's your ego saying, here's where you need healing. And you're like, oh, okay, ego, why do I think I'm going to mess this up? Oh, because you have a history of messing up everything you've ever done. But ego, I don't have a history of messing everything up. So why do I think this about myself? Oh, well, you remember when you were a kid and the other kids told you, or your siblings used to beat you up, or whatever, or, you know, there's always a point of origin when something that is personal disbelief occurred. Your brain will let you know what's stopping you from manifesting and flowing. Then your ego will take you to where the point of origin is. It's shocking how many times you go, wow, I don't even remember this situation, and yet here it is locked in my memory banks, tripping me up. So you go through a healing ceremony of releasing this energy from your being. And this is what when the librarians were talking, I didn't know this about reptilians. They were talking about how before the KT mass extinction, the planet, when it was full of dinosaurs, it was the plan that the dinosaurs would evolve over time, the next stage of, humanity. But because of the global destruction, they're like, well, what else have we got? Oh, we got these little underground mammals. Let's grow them up to the next stage of humanity. The reptilians, and they said this is a whole other story. In fact, when we come back, I'll see if they can give us the story of the reptilians. But the reptilians were planning on dinosaurs evolving to the sentient life that would make humanity the there's like a grid work of energetic planets through the universe, and we're part of that energy grid, the same as these crystals and all are part of this grid. But we're not fully activated yet. So it had been the plan that these dinosaur beings were going to. Before them, of course, there was the Atlanteans and all of that stuff. Like it always ends in global destruction and then the rise of the next species of beings. Um, the reptilians are the remnants of like the guardians of what was supposed to rise up, and they're just like really mad that we soft fleshy beings are taking their place. um, so like if your one of your parents dies and then your parent remarries and then your new parent and your old parent have children and they love that child in front of your face and you like, it's that kind of feeling. Yeah, it's basically jealousy. It's feeling neglected, feeling pushed aside for the new shiny being. Um, And I think that step sibling example was a bad one because I'm in with a room full of people who love on a high level. So none of you would ever be that way. You'd be like the most adoring towards your sibling. Um, so they were sharing the story of the reptilians, so we would feel compassion towards them instead of anger and fear. You know how when you see a little child who's having a tantrum, and the best way to resolve that tantrum is to cover them in hugs and loves and kisses and give them a nap, or something to eat, or, like they're having the tantrum because they have a basic need that's not being met, and or they're feeling overwhelmed at the moment. So you take away the reason for the tantrum and you have this beautiful adoring child. The reptilians are having a big tantrum because their basic needs are not being met. And the best way to give them what they need is to send them a great deal of love and compassion, that all of the plans they had fell apart on them and they don't know how to fit in with anything else. The other lesson they wanted to share was everyone is always in a state of evolution. Every being, every energy. And part of evolution, as all of us, everyone, not just humans, have free will, is we're exploring, if I do this, what happens? If I do that, what happens? And there are those who, the whole fallen angels and, Satan, Lucifer and all of his pals. And he had lots of company of those who are like, okay, if I become more deviant, more decadent, more what happens, what happens? And they get more darkness and, negative being on them. But in their core being, they were once a being of pure love, and that never leaves. So that's why they were saying about the angels, when they take the sword and touch them, all of the false being falls away and their core true being reveals itself. And they once again become beings of love and light. And at that point, they generally return to their original soul family and receive healing and regain their strength and integrity. Structural integrity, the moral integrity returns that's why demons are terrified of angels, because angels return them to their previous light being or angelic state. And this is what they're saying: if angels can do that to demons, humans can do that to reptilians, or all of the corrupt humans that are under the guise, under the impression of the reptilians. Thank you. Yes. I'm still like, well, not completely in my. So that is why they're saying we must take actions. You don't just stand by and, let these negative forces do whatever they want, any more than you would let a tantrum child do whatever they want. So we have to take actions. But the more we keep ourselves clean and filled with love, the far more effective our actions will be. This is why they're saying each and every one of us has the ability, should we choose it, to channel enough love to fill the grids of the planet, all the grids, all the mandalas, all the networks, supercharge them with love, and that will basically raise the energy and heal the planet. It's just learning, well, how do I get from where I'm at now to the person who can do this? And that's about meditation, self-belief, self-healing. So when we berate ourselves because we're not doing more for the planet, then the negative forces are winning. When we love ourselves and heal ourselves and our vibration increases, then the loving forces are winning. They did give me a message about the skulls. That, like, I wasn't able to hold it all in, But the crystal skulls, the librarians love crystal skulls. And they were saying how when we're in our energetic form, we don't have any particular shape. We're pure energy. We can learn to take different shapes, but when we're in our physical form, we have shape. Light beings and collectives don't have shape, but as they mature over millions, billions of years or whatever, the individual members of collectives and light beings learn how to take different shapes, because if they wish to give messages or connect, any being will receive better from one who looks like them. So while we're humanoid and we're like, well, all of the beings who come near us are humanoid, so all beings are humanoid. No, they're humanoid when they come near us. If they go to a place where creatures have like 12 legs and 3 heads, then they learn to take the shape of 12 legs and 3 heads. The crystal skulls they adore because, one, it's the shape that we resonate. It's our shape. And it's a shape of what we value the most, which is brain. We value those who can think more than we value those who can love. I mean, that's human nature. We think that the bigger skull will have more wisdom. um, the skulls are also an indigenous cultural thing, because people have been speaking with skulls as long as people have been dying. And it's not just people. They were showing like any cultural being that lives in a collective, in a group, will, when they come across the skull of their being, stop and value it. When I channeled the Elephant Collective the other night, that's one of the things that they did. They went to the skull of a dead elder, and they're like so telepathically connected that while it was the elephants are a matriarchal society, and the eldest female is the leader of a herd. They went to the skeleton of the previous eldest female, and they made sure that all of her bones were in place, in alignment, and they all like gave love to the skull. They all touched their noses to the skull and their trunks, and they can kiss with the end of their trunk, and they were all giving kisses. And as they were there, the eldest female was told them stories of the previous eldest female, and passed down the lessons. It was like, all right, when I came out of that channeling, I was just like drenched with tears. It was so beautiful. So the value of skulls is not just human. It is something that is revered in many planets, many cultures, many races and species. And as we all value the skull, we can connect with anyone who values the skull through a skull. This skull also came from Earth. It was crystal. When Earth was first created, Mother Earth did a calling, and members of every species and being, and oh, there's so many energies flying around here. If I looked at it, I'm like, they're all like zipping around. She did a calling to all species and beings, and they all sent representatives to help create Earth. And Earth is, again, one in a grid of planets they did this with. And as they created the Earth, first by herding space dust and cosmic dust closer and closer together until gravitational pull started helping, each being sent part of their DNA and their also their like crystalline energy. So when we bring in the crystals and the minerals of Earth, we're also connecting with different beings of different places. So this is, and Gaia is not just she's the goddess of all physical life. So it's not just our planet, it's all planets. So you can connect with every planet through our planet, which is why when we have the ascension, when we raise the vibration, um, we will be like connecting far and wide, because that's what Earth was created for. To be an intergalactic, interdimensional matrix point. Yeah. And we're one of a bunch, so when all of them are activated, it's going to be pretty awesome. Yes. So these crystal skulls are not just earth energy, but anyone, anywhere that connects through skull magic, and any beings that were connected from whatever dimension or frequency with the minerals that went into that skull when Earth was first created. Yes. Yeah. That's why you can tap into all kinds of wisdom. And this is why, like the Max the Skull, why Max is so powerful, because Max has a lot of activated minerals and the like into it, so that it can really connect with a lot of beings. But it's not that Max the Skull was it. The woman who found him in her closet, like Max had been, yeah, Joanne, thanks. Max had been with some powerful people who knew how to activate the energy, and then Joanne just resonated perfectly and made it happen. But that's why you'll see people saying, well, I paid the $100 and I sat with a skull, and I sat in a room with a skull, and other people will go, it was the most profound experience of my life. Because it's what will you connect with, what will you open up to receive. And that really requires releasing all sense of ego, all sense of self-importance, and allowing yourself to be drawn into and become one with whatever you can connect with. So the more you are, say, you know what, I'm going to open wide up, the more you can receive through these skulls. But we all have the power to activate any of them. And once you understand what's the point in the magic of the skull, you can do it with anything. The skull is like a doorway, but once you go through that doorway, you can take the doorway with you and go through it anytime. Yes. Yes, but they love these skulls. And also it is like a huge sign of respect to all the cultures who were connected with earth magic and nature and spirituality before we became people who lived in buildings like this. So you are bringing ancient magic back into your space. Yes. 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 They wanted you to know that. They just so they downloaded it into me, and they're like, don't leave without telling her that. Yeah. Yeah, and they really love your split skull over there. Yeah, the big one there. Yeah, they were like grooving on that one. Yeah. Really?
Yeah. Well, at least the piece. I don't know of the carving. But
wow.
Where it came from, it's actually a citrine. So I don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
No, but the piece, like where the quartz that they pulled it from, and then the black piece on its radiation, and then what you can't see on the right is it's like got a big story, and there's records in there.
They were grooving on it. They were loving it. They were like, that one is. They were like, yeah, it has its own energy. That's really.
Aside from everybody else.
Yeah. Okay.
Before you go back in,
yes.
Anybody need water? Tiny bottles.
Okay. All right. And Lord Snaggletooth is already meditating. Yeah, Lord Snaggletooth. And there he is. And see, Snaggy. Snag. Yes. Okay, baby, go back to your meditation. Okay.